Hi everyone, this is Aaron for Zollotech, and I'm going to compare the new iPad to the Nexus 7. Now, a lot of you may or may not think that I should compare the two, but the main reason I'm comparing the two is I've gotten a lot of questions on should I spring for the extra money or wait until I can afford an iPad, or should I just buy the Nexus 7? So I thought I'd do a pretty thorough comparison that would better help you make that choice. Overall, though, it's going to be a pretty tough choice depending on what you're looking for. Sometimes it may be easier, sometimes it may not be so difficult. So here you can obviously see the new iPad is much larger than the Nexus 7. We have a 9.7-inch screen as opposed to a 7-inch screen that's on the Nexus 7. The Nexus 7 has a resolution of 1280 by 800, while the new iPad has a resolution of 2048 by 1536. It's got a much higher resolution, which means text and things like that are going to look a little bit or a lot nicer, depending on how well you see on the new iPad. The overall screen quality, the new iPad seems to be more vibrant, colors pop a little more, where the new iPad, or the Nexus 7 rather, has kind of almost a washed out look to it in my experience. We're on auto brightness on both. I haven't set one brighter than the other. In fact, if I go here, you'll see it's actually, I can turn it down, but it is set to auto brightness under the settings. And these are the default settings based on the ambient light in the room. This will go quite a bit brighter, but overall, it's not a bad screen. It's just not as bright as you would think. It's on all the way up now on the Nexus 7, so you can kind of get an idea what they're both capable of. You can go a little bit brighter on the iPad. As far as storage options go, in the iPad we have 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte options with no SD card. In the Nexus 7 we have 8 gigabyte and 16 gigabyte storage options, and again no SD card. That's not really a problem usually too much, because a lot of the videos that would take up a lot of room are done via streaming, via Netflix or some other service like that, which is available on both. As far as the processor inside, the Nexus 7 has a Tegra 3 quad-core processor, which is quite fast, and the new iPad has a dual-core 1 gigahertz or A5 processor. It's not exactly known the actual specs, as Apple doesn't really say. Either way, both are equally fast. In fact, the Nexus 7's probably faster as far as when it comes to videos and things like that. When it comes to cameras, the Nexus 7 only has one. It has a forward-facing camera here for video chat, things like that, which is okay. It's not fantastic. It's a 1.2 megapixel camera. As far as the new iPad goes, we have a 5 megapixel camera in the back for taking pictures and video, and we have a VGA camera in the front, which is for FaceTime calls, things like that. You wouldn't want to do any serious video recording with that. Both of them have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Depending on the options you get, the iPad can have 3G and GPS. This particular version is the Wi-Fi version, 32 gigabyte. The Nexus 7 actually has GPS regardless, but doesn't have a 3G option as far as SIM cards or carriers are concerned. Battery life in the Nexus 7 is about 8 hours, and I find that to be about right in my particular use of it. You have 8 to 10 hours in the new iPad. It just depends what you're doing with it. Generally 10 hours is about right. Overall, they're about the same as far as quality goes. The iPad feels very solid, rigid. The back is aluminum, and we have a headphone jack in the top as well, and our volume rocker, and we can lock the rotation or volume depending on how we set up that switch, and we have a dock connector here and a speaker on the back. On the Nexus 7, we have our screen here. On the side, we have volume rockers here, and this power sleep-wake button. We have a nice back. It's a rubberized back. It's not leather, but even though it has that leather look to it, it is a rubberized back that's textured, so it's easy to hang on to. And we have Nexus and Asus that makes the actual tablet with a speaker here. And then we have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack and micro USB. That's it as far as that goes on the Nexus 7. Now, as far as the overall use of them, it's about the same. The Nexus 7, as you can see here, there's the camera overhead. I put in my password and unlock the screen. It will actually face unlock. So if you want to lock the screen, you can do that. It will face unlock. We also have Google Now that's built into the OS. So here we have Android 4.1 Jelly Bean, and over here we have iOS 5. 6 will be coming out shortly. 5 with Siri or voice dictation, those things will be on either. You don't really find yourself using them too much on tablets, at least in my opinion or experience. You don't seem to be using Siri too much unless you're dictating an email or something like that. You could do either on both devices. They're both equally good in that respect. As far as applications go, it's probably one of the number one questions I get asked. How is applications? Well, as you may be able to see already, we have Flipboard, Netflix I actually have on this page, somewhere under video entertainment here. Netflix, Hulu, ABC Player, TED Talks, Twit for This Week in Tech, and Time Warner Cable TV, all of which are available, other than maybe ABC, on Android. So just about anything you want can be available here. Hulu Plus. I find that most of the apps are very close, if not quality apps that are the same, but not quite the same maker. But overall, they're both about the same as far as applications go. You may find a few that you like better on the iPad, and vice versa. The stores are pretty complete. You've got video rental and books. Let me go ahead and show you books here, as a lot of people want to know what it's like. And here's the store where you can get magazines. And then if you want to read a book, we have this option here. We'll go into the Nexus 7 manual, since it was with this. And if we want to turn the page, you get this nice little animation. Now, I'm assuming they did that animation because Apple probably patented one of the animations. But here we have Kindle, iBooks. Let's go into iBooks, and you can see this is turning the page as well. So you can turn the page on either or, and it's a nice animation. Sometimes I like to just let it snap to the last page, but you really don't need it to. It's not too big of a deal. You can just slide, and they each have animations, but it doesn't really matter too much. As far as watching movies, it's really nice on both of them, and in fact on the Nexus 7 it fills the whole screen for the most part because of the shape and size of the screen. It's really nice, really fast, equally fast on both. In fact, here's the books that came with it. The Nexus 7 actually comes with Transformers, or at least mine did. It comes with the Nexus 7 guidebook, and on the iPad you don't get any of the freebie stuff, so that may be a concern, although you really don't get that much free on the Nexus 7 other than that. Thickness of the devices is pretty close. The Nexus 7 is actually a little bit thicker, and that doesn't make too much of a difference. In fact, it makes it a little bit easier to hold on to in some respects. Now, as far as everything else goes, we've got a quality music player on both. We have iPhone or the iPod. Here we have music. There's a comparable thing between each one of them that I think you'll find equally satisfying depending on which device you're using. Now, in my particular case, there is an advantage in one particular aspect that I think the Nexus 7 has, strangely, because I've used an iPad for a very long time, since the first one, and an iPhone since the first one. But I think the Nexus 7 has the advantage here in the case of every single one of them has a GPS built in. That means you can use maps. You can use this as a GPS in your car using navigation, fully using navigation, and it works great. In fact, it's better than most GPSs because it's got Street View, it's a large screen, and thanks to Android Jelly Bean, you can select a specific area and download the map. So no longer do you have to be connected to to actual data on your device. You can be connected to nothing, and it actually will let you use this as long as you specify an area. So we have that in the options, make available offline. We hit this button and we can specify an area. We want to make sure this whole area is available offline. Once we do that on our home network, we have that whole area. We could do this for the whole United States. It would download to the device, and you have all of the maps of the United States. So it works great as far as that goes. If you have the iPad with 3G, you'll also get the same functionality, but the maps won't be downloaded ahead of time unless you've actually got an application that did it, such as TomTom or something like that. That may change with iOS 6, but currently that's really how it works. The other advantage you have with the Nexus 7 is cost. You have $200, $199 and $249, 8 and 16 gigabyte models. So you have a huge price difference. This is starting at $500 and going up to $829 depending on which one you get. Now, I personally prefer the iPad because I like the little bit larger screen, and I do some work on it, such as with pages, with writing and things. As far as that goes, I prefer the typing on the iPad. Everything else, they're comparable in my opinion. so you could get most accomplished on both. But if you're going to do any work, in my opinion, when it comes to photos or typing, I prefer the iPad. That's just my personal experience, given the bigger screen. It's only a few inches, but that few inches adds some more workability. So overall, they're both great devices. I really like both. If your budget isn't there where you can get an iPad yet, just get a Nexus 7. You'll be plenty happy, and you'll have saved at least $300 and get just about all the functionality, if not more, in some respects. So definitely don't hesitate to pick up a Nexus 7 if you're thinking about a tablet. However, there are some things where the iPad's at an advantage with the screen resolution and vividness, and for me, being able to work in certain ways and syncing with your other Apple devices. If you have an iPhone, it'll be easier for an iPad when you sync between things. If you have an Android phone, you'll find the same is true with the Nexus 7. So there's those ecosystems there. But overall, great devices. Definitely recommend either or, and hopefully that helps you with your choice in which one you want to get. If you have any questions or anything else maybe I left out that you'd like to see, please go ahead and place that in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.